Hello and welcome to the Run Testers. My name's Nick and this is our first run review of the Nike Vomero Plus. So the Vomero Plus is the middle child of the Vomero line of shoes within the Nike lineup. All of the Vomero shoes are very cushioned, big, comfortable shoes, with the Vomero 18 having a similarly high stack height to the Vomero Plus, but not using entirely ZoomX foam, which you do have on the Vomero Plus. And then the Vomero Premium is a completely wild new shoe with a stack height of like 56 millimeters with AirPods and ZoomX and all sorts of things going on in the middle. I haven't tested the other shoes, but I have been out for a first run in the Vomero Plus to see how it feels compared to other max cushion shoes out there and how it compares to the Nike Invincible, which I think it's fair to say the Vomero Plus is the spiritual successor to as a big cushion shoe with a full ZoomX midsole. The Vomero Plus costs £155 in the UK and $180 in the US, so it is a little bit more expensive than the Vomero 18. It weighs in at 300 grams or 10.6 ounces, so it's lighter than the Vomero 18, which is down to the fact it's got a full ZoomX midsole, and even though that's not a particularly lightweight shoe, it is pretty light given how high the stack height is on the Vomero Plus. It's 45 millimeters at the heel and then 35 at the forefoot for a 10 millimeter drop. And when it comes to the design of the shoe, you've got an engineered mesh upper. It's a pretty thick material, almost feels like a dual layer material. I'm not sure it's going to necessarily be the most breathable, but it was fine for me on the first run yesterday. Fair amount of padding on the tongue and heel. Like, this is a shoe designed for comfort in the upper, but it's not overbearing at all. It didn't feel like there was too much padding, which I sometimes find with these very cushioned shoes. There's just too much going on top and it feels a bit suffocating, but that hasn't been the case with the Vomero Plus so far. And then, as I've mentioned, you have a full ZoomX foam midsole on the Vomero Plus. The bouncy, lightweight, the best foam in Nike's range, used on a wide range of shoes now. And while it might be tuned for different purposes and different shoes, when it comes to the Vomero Plus, it's geared up to be soft and bouncy to really help you roll through a lot of daily miles in comfort. You've got pretty substantial sidles of foam that your foot sits within with the Vomero Plus to try and make sure it's stable, despite the fact it has got a very big stack height here. And it's a pretty wide shoe as well. It does still taper inwards a bit around the midfoot of the shoe, but not too much. It does feel like it's going to be a pretty stable option. And then on the outsole, you've got a high abrasion rubber outsole with that rubber covering pretty much the entire midsole. Like, Nike hasn't gone for any weight savings there by putting in cutouts or not having rubber cover everything. So there is a pretty generous amount of rubber on the bottom of the shoe. When it comes to the fit of the Vomero Plus, I've got my normal running shoe size, which is a UK 9, US 10 with Nike. That is the size I use across the Nike range, and I've got a really good fit with the Vomero Plus. There's a nice amount of room in the toe box with the space in front of my foot, but not too much that I feel like I'm flapping around in it. Good hold around the heel and midfoot. As I mentioned in the design section, it is pretty padded around there, but not in a way that's been stifling or uncomfortable. It just holds the foot securely. And while I think the upper in general will probably run a little bit on the warmer side, as is the case often with these big max cushion shoes that have very comfortable uppers, it wasn't a problem on my first run. And as we head into autumn and winter here for my testing, I don't expect any big problems. Might be something you notice a bit more in hot countries. But when it comes to the actual fit of the shoe, I would stick to your normal running shoe size. So I got out for my first run in the Nike Vomero Plus last night. I went out for an easy to steady 10 miles with strides. So this is a very standard training run for me within my kind of weekly lineup. Start at a nice relaxed pace, slowly go through the gears, and by the end I'm hitting the fringes of kind of tempo pace, but still not really running at a very hard effort or anything like that. And then a few strides as well, just to loosen up the legs ahead of a couple of track sessions today. And that kind of run felt very good in the Vomero Plus for sure. Like, it's got a really nice cruisy feel to it. I was interested to see how it responded when I did start to pick up the pace a little bit towards the end there, and it responded really well for what is quite a heavy and big cushion shoe. That ZoomX midsole certainly gives you a lot more bounce and response than a lot of the foams in these kind of shoes, so it does perform better than you expect at faster paces, and then early on in the run at more relaxed paces, just very controlled comfort. And it didn't feel wobbly or anything like that as well, which was noticeable to me early on when I was running at those easy paces. You think with a big stack like this, with the pretty soft foam in the midsole, I had no concerns about stability running on kind of mixed pavements with little cambers and broken sections or anything like that. So I do think it's a pretty stable shoe and a supportive shoe, and then you have got that really fantastic bouncy midsole foam. Like, when you first start a run, it's really noticeable straight away. You get loads and loads of bounce. Like, goes away a little bit and you get into a nice rhythm when I was running in the middle section of that run with the Vomero Plus. And then when I did start to up the pace again, you really felt the bounce again, like when you're pushed through the gears. Like, it does run a bit like a fast shoe, even though it isn't a shoe designed really for speed, but you can really feel the amount of punch off that midsole when you are running at faster speeds. And while it probably still wouldn't be a shoe that I'm lining up for really hard interval sessions or anything like that, I'm someone who'd have a shoe rotation with a lighter shoe for that. It does respond well at fast paces, and that makes it a really good cushioned daily training option, I think, where most of your runs are going to be at those kind of easy and steady paces. You're not going flat out, and I think the Vomero Plus handles them well, whilst being a very cushioned and comfortable shoe for those easy runs and long runs because of that mega stack of foam you have there. Also say it felt a little bit more cruisy and rockered than I've had with many Nike shoes. Like Nike uses a 10mm drop a lot across a lot of its shoes, and in the Pegasus lineup in particular, you can really feel that snap through with what is a higher drop than you get on probably most running shoes these days. More of them are in that kind of 6 to 8mm range, but you can feel that 10mm drop on the Pegasus shoes for sure. You don't feel it so much with the Vomero, I think, because you've got a softer landing at the heel. I think the rocker really rolls you through quite well as well, and it feels very nice and smooth as a result of that. Definitely did have the feel a bit of the early models of the Invincible. Like I really liked the Invincible 1 and 2, wasn't such a big fan of the 3, which I felt lost a little bit of the energy and life of those lines. I think the Vomero Plus does bring back the feeling, I think, of those early Invincible models, which are a lot of fun, a lot of bounce. I think it's a bit more stable than those shoes though, which is good when you are looking at a shoe that you want to do a lot of miles in at easy paces. So very early verdict on the Nike Vomero Plus. This feels like a really strong addition to the max cushioned shoe landscape, I would say. Like I think it is offering a bit more than lots of the shoes in this area, which focus a lot more on just pure comfort or stability or just kind of deadening the impact of the run. You're getting those features with the Vomero Plus. I do think it's a nice protective shoe and a comfortable shoe. Then you are getting a livelier, more energetic ride thanks to that ZoomX midsole that meant I could go through the gears quite easily yesterday. I'll be very happy to go out on it for that kind of run again, as well as doing pure easy stuff, long runs, that kind of thing, recovery runs, and used it for a warm-up and a cool down today, before and after a track session, and very good and supportive for all that kind of stuff. And it's priced pretty well in the UK as well. Like this is a bit of a disparity here between the UK and the US. Like in the UK, it's coming in cheaper than lots of the models in this area, things like the Gel Nimbus 27 or the Saucony Triumph or Brooks Glycerin Max, those kind of shoes. Like the Nike Vomero Plus is cheaper than them, and I think it's giving you a slightly higher level of performance based on that first run. Obviously something I'll go dive into more detail in the full review. I'm not going to say flat out it's a better shoe after one run, but from that one run, it does feel like that midsole is a bit of a step up on what you're getting elsewhere. In the US, it's priced more in line, or maybe it's even more expensive than some of those shoes, so then it becomes a completely different equation. But I do think in terms of performance, it does feel really good to me, and I do like the way that the shoe is set up. It just feels like it's going to be a really fun shoe to have in a rotation to hoover up a lot of miles. That said, there are mega stack shoes out there that are bringing more versatility to the table than something like the Vomero Plus. Especially in the Asics range, you've got the Super Blast 2 and the Mega Blast, which are also 45, 46mm stack height shoes, but with more responsive foams, stiffer rides. They're not as comfortable as the Vomero, but if you are looking at one mega shoe to do everything, they'd probably still be a better option. But I was impressed by how the shoe felt at faster paces in that first run, and certainly enjoyed it at the easy paces as well. So encouraging first outing for sure in the Vomero Plus, and I look forward to getting plenty more miles in it for our full review. That's our first look at the Nike Vomero Plus. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, ring the little bell, and we will see you next time.